George Michael Mukula. He's a member of the Central Executive Committee of the NRM, representing the Eastern region as a deputy chairperson, and he wants to take back this position. We want to know, what has he delivered previously in the position and others, and what kind of new Mukula is he giving to us in this kind of very office? Captain, we are so glad to have a chance to talk to you.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
How have you been? How is everything?
So far, so good. Beautiful weather. The country is stable, and the economy is growing. And I think that the national resistance movement under General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni is making an excellent taking excellent steps in economic growth and stability of the country.
How would you describe your tour or journey in as far as leadership in Uganda is concerned to where we are now?
I started as Secretary for Defense, LC1 Bugolobi Bangalos. And
when was that?
That was then, I think, a little before 1991. And as a young person, a cadre of the national resistance movement. And I also then progressed to be the Secretary for Defense, Bugolobi Bangalos 2, and later on became Chairman Bugolobi Bangalos 2, the whole of Bugolobi Bangalos. Yep. And then later on I was elected as Vice Chairman Nakawa Division and a councillor of Kampala City Council at that time. Later on I acted as Chairman Nakawa Division. And when the time came, I decided to take a tour of leadership in Soroti municipality then. It's now got, it had two divisions then, which is East and West. And I then became Vice Chairman of the Committee on National Economy and a number of other sectoral committees
in
Parliament. And later on in 2001, I was appointed a Minister of State for Health, General Duties by His Excellency the President. And then later on when I left, I became the Vice Chairman of the National Resistance Movement, in charge of Eastern, meaning that I've grown through the ladder to be where I am, and I have come with a lot of experience of grassroots leadership in the country.
As a young man at the LC1 level, 2, 3, then to Parliament, what do you think has been your contribution to this country? What is that thing you look at and feel proud?
And one thing that I think, among other things that I've done in this country, was first of all to move a motion in the 6th Parliament to cause the disarmament of the Karachuna, the illegal guns which were wreaking havoc in not only in Karamoja itself, which is 10% of Uganda's land area, about 28 square kilometers, slightly bigger than Rwanda, a country. It had more guns than the guns at that time in the Kenya Army Police prisons and most of the security organs in Kenya. Secondly, you also recall that at one time when the remember Rwanda, yes, in 1994, the genocide time, I participated in the recovery of the dead bodies, which were then floating from River Kagera into the areas of Kasensiro, Rakai district, the confluence of Lake Victoria. In the thousands, I was able to take the Cardinal Wamala, a wonderful man of God. We just drove, two of us, to witness and pray for the souls of these departed Rwandese. And that committee that we put together with the support of the President, We buried thousands and thousands of Rwandese in mass graves, about 6,000, some of the graves.
Where are those graves?
In Rakai, some of them are in Pigi, and so on and so forth. Many people forget, including you, that this was the history of the African continent. I also participated in the return of the king or the cultural head of the Bakonzo, if you do recall, in 1998, 1999. That, as you know, ADF occupied the belt of the wreaking havoc, the killing of the Chichwamba boys, and in that technical school, about 89 perished, who were burnt alive. I'm happy that we're able, working with General Saleh, with the support of President Museveni guidance, we're able to cause the return of
The Umsinga.
Singa. And I am happy that the region now stabilized. That alone gave confidence to the people of Kasese. I'm also happy to say that in the history of this country, you note that the Kony in 2003, June the 15th, with the bridgehead of Oti Vincent, Ochan Bunia, Tabule, Odiambo, Rascal Okuya, many others. That bridgehead caused a lot of uncertainty, and many people were displaced, not only in Lango, but even in Teso, when they left the operational zone, 250 kilometers away, and attacked Teso then. And I'm happy that we formed with comrades like Muse Cheru, John Eresu, and many others. We formed the Arrow Boys, close to 16 battalions. We formed an auxiliary force under Article 7 of the Constitution to support and defend the Constitution of Uganda. And we were an auxiliary force to the superior force of UPDF. And I'm happy that UPDF rolled from the 30th of June, LRA, to 2,000 kilometers in Central African Republic from Uganda, never to come back again. The stability of this country, I have, in my humble view, been able to contribute. And I was able, in my tour as a member of parliament of Soroti, municipality then, to, with the support of government, build 9 primary schools in Soroti city, 5 health centers, cause the renovation of Soroti Referral Hospital with the support of JICA, Japanese International Cooperation Agency, and SIDA, Swedish International Development Agency, which caused the stabilization of that hospital. And I want to say that Soroti had one of the best, or Teso, or that region, had one of the best healthcare services in the country, and are really endorsed by World Health Organization as one of the best healthcare units and regions in the whole of East and Central Africa.
This is in the interest of the young people that are watching, who would love both politics and leadership and business. How have you managed to balance success on both sides?
I joined Parliament in 1996 as a young man with 5 aeroplanes.
5 aeroplanes to your name?
To my name, as a young person. And I want to tell you that at that time I had a lot of businesses which were rolling. To date, I run 28 companies under my sleeve, and I employ over 3,000 people. Balancing the two, yes. And that is your question.
What enables you to balance the two?
The right team. I have the right team. The choice of human resource is very critical in running progressive businesses.
You are also not only a professional, but a dealer in aviation. What are your flight hours?
I have nearly 8,000 hours to my sleeve.
Okay.
And
so
I've been an instructor in the aviation industry, Soroti Flying School. I also had a stint in flying the president of Uganda. Yes.
What is your view about this industry in Uganda?
Aviation is the most highly regulated industry in the whole world. It has got a high level of discipline. You cannot be...
It appears to be crawling and at a very slow pace in Uganda.
Well, it is because of the economies in the African continent. Africa has only 1.5%, maybe 2% of the aviation industry, which is being led by Ethiopian Airlines, Kenya Airways now, Egypt Air, and maybe Rwanda Air, now Uganda Airlines. As the middle class continues to emerge and we have more open skies, the aviation industry will grow. And you know, I have an aviation academy, Uganda Aviation Academy. We need to train more professionals in the sector in order to ensure that we meet the growth and expectation.
Why did you leave Parliament politically?
I left Parliament because I think I'd done my tour. Politics or leadership as a member of Parliament is not a profession. It's a service to the people. And people need to understand that you need to go there not to earn salary, but to serve the people. And be a voice, have the ear that listens to the aspirations of the people. Because if you don't, then you cannot be re-elected. At that time when I left Parliament, I could have been re-elected again. I was very popular and still remain popular. But I think that I had done my part and I wanted to come back to the private sector. If you want to make money, don't go into politics unless you are corrupt. But if you want to make money, go into the private sector. That's where the money is.
You have colleagues with whom you served at the same time in Parliament. They are still in the dungeons and struggles for the flags and water and votes and flexing with the voters to keep in Parliament. What makes you different from them?
I think that most people go to Parliament with good ideas. You have seen them elucidating, sponging the parliamentary sessions with great ideas. But these ideas must be tested by making it possible for you to see that what you're talking about can actually be done, meaning that you must walk the talk. I've done my part, and I'm happy that down the road, I've been able to mentor many young people, including Peter Ogwang and many others, who have been able to take the direction of good political pacing, if I am to call it that way. And I've also trained many young people, what you call cadre identification, training, and placement. I have many of them that have been able to come out.
Following your path?
Following my path. And there are many people that look on to us. The journey for democracy, the journey for political metamorphosis in leadership, because you know leadership is intergenerational. Most people think that it should be about age. No, it's not about age. It is intergenerational.
What is the difference, Honorable?
The difference is that it's not about biology, but it's about ideology. And if you see people in Adjumani lining up behind a man who's 86 years, who is not physically fit, but people feel that he should lead them, it's because they remember what he has done for them. They remember. When you see people lining up behind General Moses Ali, how do you break that jinx? It's a question you should ask. Why do they leave young people and go for General Moses Ali, 86 years, heading towards 90 years? It's because they believe in him.
For your case, don't you think you took the decision too early?
Well, I think that my view was that I had really served the country. Look at the matrix that I've already elucidated, what I've done. I think that other people can now take up the mantle. The Uganda is bigger than me. And I should not look at Uganda as belonging to me or Soroti municipality. I think that there comes a tour, or there comes a time when you step aside.
Why do you again feel you should keep at least in the service of the party?
I think a party...
Because it is more or less the same. It's politics and political service.
You remember a man called Ferguson in Man U?
Yes.
Ferguson was a very good coach when it comes to football. Manchester United. And even Arsenal had a very good team leader. And you'll see that some of them felt that the time had come for them to step aside. Ferguson led Man U very well. And I think that, to me, I had served my time. And to me, I think that the approach to it has to be conditioned to one's feeling. Because you just don't say that I want. It must come from you, yourself, saying that I think I've done my part, let me step aside.
How do you get the difference of the two roles? Why do you think you can keep here but away from Parliament?
Parliament is Parliament, and Parliament is demanding. You have to be in the constituency. You must be in burials. You must be in schools to see that they're performing well. You must evaluate performance of healthcare. You must evaluate roads. You must listen to the will and the needs of the people. You must be in markets to listen to the market leaders, and so on and so forth. You must be in committees. But that aside, as the leader of Parliament, you come now as a member of the Central Executive Committee. Our biggest task usually is what you call the social contract, the manifesto, which is a 5-year strategic plan. And when you're managing the direction of the party, you must also look at the correlation between Vision 2040 and the manifesto, because politics is dynamic. It's highly very trying, because people's needs are very important, especially my region. Most people fail to differentiate, especially the leaders, when you are elected as a chairman of the National Resistance Movement in charge of Eastern, but you are elected by the entire country. They think that you should go to the north and also legislate or talk to them. You should go to the west, to Karamoja, to Buganda, cover areas like Central. No. You are given your specific region. And that's why they say you are national, but regional. National vice chairman in charge of Eastern. Yes. So people must get to understand the difference between a leader is like a division commander of UPDF. If you're a division commander of the 4th division or the 5th division or 1st division, your concentration must be there.
So how do you galvanize the enhancement and promotion of the manifesto in that region as the deputy chairperson in charge of that particular region?
Like now the president has been going around in the PDM, and there have been memoranda which have been given to the president all over the country. Yes. These now form the basis under which we now sit and analyze the requirements that people have put across.
Honorable, for how long have you served in the Central Executive Committee?
I have served now, this is going, I think 15 years.
Okay. Yes. What are you proud of as we take a break?
I think I'm proud
in that position,
I
in that
am
office,
proud of
in charge
the
of
achievements of the national resistance movement. At the macro level, let's look at the macro level. Because we, as SEC, we are a collective. Yes. You cannot be I. As an individual, you are nothing.
But the statement is in charge. Mike Mukula, in charge of Eastern Uganda.
When I talk about...
This is a piece of cake thrown in your hands. You
yes.
are in charge.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, look at the words in charge of Eastern Uganda.
Yes.
What are you proud of?
I am proud of, first of all, the achievements. Look at the road infrastructure. The road between Tirinyi, Palisa to Kumi is one of the best roads in the country. The road between Malaba, Tororo, Mbale, Bukede ya Kumi, Soroti, Dokolo, Lira, Kona Kamdini, Gulu, all the way to the border with South Sudan, the backbone, which is now being done by World Bank and government of Uganda. I'm happy that that is being done. I'm happy that there is peace and stability in the country, in Karamoja, as a result of that. I'm happy that in the East, you have University of Science and Technology in Teso. I'm happy of many things, but I'm still unhappy about the levels of poverty in Busoga. I'm still unhappy about the levels of youth unemployment and opportunities in the country. I'm still unhappy about service delivery in hospitals in the country. The absence of medicine and adequate human resource capacity, the doctors and the nurses. I'm unhappy about that. How can I do that? That is what I'm concentrating on.
But these problems have been around with you in charge. You get? Actually, on top of the poverty, unemployment, and all those others, the Eastern region is leading when it comes to early childhood pregnancies and such some other social problems. As the chairman of the party in power, in charge of Eastern Uganda, what measures have you taken to handle these challenges? Let us put them in one bucket, with the manifesto in your hands on behalf of the party in the region.
Unfortunately, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and I cannot be social policemen at night or during daytime to stop people from producing children.
Children from producing children?
No, children.
Yes.
Because that's a function of individuals. We have put in adequate laws. You know, are you aware of the law to say that anybody who pregnates a child, mother, or a child, girl child, below the age of 18 years, will face the penal code and can face
life imprisonment.
Life imprisonment.
Yes.
Are you aware of that?
Yes.
But how many pregnancies take place?
A lot.
How many have been reported to police? If you report to the police will swing into action. You will be culpable. Unfortunately, the parents don't do that. So it is a community problem. And I want to tell you that somebody is given 2 goats or 3 goats, or given compromise, or the relatives go to the other relatives and compromise, or the man runs away. These are the challenges you have in a third world country. Don't forget, we are not first world like United States or Denmark or Sweden. This is prevalent not only in Uganda, in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Liberia, in Congo DRC, in Zambia.
That's how we relax about problems.
No.
The moment you say other people also face them.
No. It is our society.
That's how we relax.
I want to tell you that it's not relaxing. In order to fight that, you must have 3 things with you. One is that you must have the legal framework. We have a legal framework for that. And if there is anything else that needs to be done, please bring it to us, and we'll ask members of parliament to legislate and bring out the law. 2, you need to have an institutional framework. That means the police, the CID, and so on and so forth, LC1s, the RDCs, who are chairman of the district security committees. Museveni and I, and the leaders of the Central Executive Committee cannot be omnipotent, omnipresent, and omnipotent.
The expectation actually is that you would be that through the structures that you have within the party lineage, from the national chairman to the village. National chairman to you, the deputy in charge, the structures of the party to the village. And you have another advantage that you are actually the party in power. Why not really be almost omnipotent?
Well, the point is that when you build the institutions, and that's why I told you the institutions work with the political will. And the political will and institutions work with the legal framework. These are three components in managing society. Governance is a collective. That's when they say government is not only you alone or me alone. It's a collective. You and I form government. Are you aware of that?
Very well.
You have a social responsibility. And several articles of the Constitution of Uganda, which give you the powers to institute what is good for the country. You have also got what you call provisions of the law, because our constitution is infectious by nature. You'll find that you arrest somebody, Article 23 comes in and say it is a right to get bail. Then you'll find that evidence is destroyed for that one who has tampered with a child, and maybe the semen, or maybe a policeman who has been investigating that case has been bribed and destroys that evidence.
How would you describe the politics in the Central Executive Committee of NRM? Like you said, this is a body with very senior men, big household names in Uganda. Mike Mukula, so and big names. But when the time comes for your elections, we really get to hear the real politics, the way it would be for parliamentary. You even get shocked with comments some of you make against or about colleagues. What is the secret about this organ?
Central Executive Committee is among the three governance structures of the party.
It is also almost like a do or die tech for you, the leaders that go there. Why?
I don't think it's a do or die. It's only the people who make it do or die. For me, or any other person, I think you have seen that not many people have made this as a do or die. It's not like Parliament. Because Parliament, you have seen people breaking other people's skulls. You have seen people punching each other and falling down, chasing each other with rungos. You have not seen that in the Central Executive Committee. You have seen people spending money, unlimited, save for maybe one or two people who have made it a function way of spending money. Why do you spend so much money, 2, 3, 4, 5 billion, 6 billion shillings, in a position where you'll not earn not even 1% of that money from that committee? It's voluntary. And that's why I want to tell you that you follow the expenditure pattern of the Central Executive Committee. This reckless expenditure is uncalled for, because the moment you do that, you are going to have a party that is going to be led by those who only have money. In fact, you will put the party at a risk of being on sale.
Maybe people want to be part of that body that takes final decisions within how the party operates.
No, but my argument here is that why would Ndugu Rugonda do that? Why would Alhaji Kigongo do that? President Museveni and the fighters of NRM or NRA never earned a salary when they in the bush. It was a sacrifice. When they left their wives and their family to engage in a protracted liberation struggle of this country, they never earned salary. That should be the spirit we carry forward for the party. Being selfless, not being but selfless. My fear is that as you continue to manifest the ideal of money, financial, in buying leadership, then you know that that party is on sale and the country is at a risk.
Right now you are in a race with over 3-4 people yourself. Do you think the drama that comes with elections can really be avoided? And isn't it that attracts even spending money and buying off people and all that?
Democracy in the African continent is a learning curve. It's a process that will take time to ferment. I have seen even mature democracies, and I've talked about this before. Mature democracies like the United States of America, the extremist radicals of the Republican Party under Donald Trump, you remember in the other elections he held, attacked the temple of democracy, the Senate and Congress. And even the vice president was on the run. He had to go into the dungeons of Congress and Senate to be hidden. And you find that a number of people were injured. Some even, said, were possibly killed. That extremism, and some people were jailed. That extremism is what you must avoid. And that United States has gone through over 250 years of political metamorphosis in the form of elections.
You have a good number of people that want you out of that office. How prepared are you? The elections are just in August. How prepared are you this time round?
I am as ready as yesterday.
And they have blames that they throw at you. One of them being responsible for the disunity within the region. That's why you almost have a candidate from every sect of the region.
Our region, the Eastern, has got 5 sub-regions. The Sebei region, Teso sub-region, Bugisu sub-region, Bukedi sub-region, and Busoga. Buganda, you only speak Luganda. In the north, you only speak basically very few dialects. In Karamoja, it's only one, Nga Karamojong. In the west, they only, apart from
they almost all connect.
Apart from the Bakonzo, who speak close to the Bamba. The east has got about 14 to 15 different ethnic dialects. And in this, you have so many tribes. Even Busoga itself has got sub-tribes within Busoga. So you'll find that I am heading a highly dynamic society, multi-ethnic, multi-ideological, multi-formation in many ways. So it is very important that you have tolerance and patience and calm. And where you have differences in one area, you have got to understand that internal contradictions are part of society. And NRM is multi-ideological from formation outside, but become uni-ideological and concentrate on the big picture. For me as a leader, Mao Zedong talked about the big picture. I'm looking at the big picture. The country now is stable from the north to the south, east to the west. The challenges we faced 15, 20, 30 years ago are not the same challenges that have manifested themselves now. They are completely new. And you'll find that the prescription that the president talks about, for you to prescribe, you must diagnose. That diagnosis takes the ability for you first to clerk, to know what is the problem, rather than you treating form. In philosophy, you talk about form and content. You now must, first of all, do the correct diagnosis. Now, if you do the correct clerking and diagnosis, then you do the prescription.
Is it a false accusation that you are party to the divisions among leaders in the eastern region of the NRM?
I have one very important ideal. I never interfere in local politics. And in these last elections, you will not see a footprint of Mukula in Kapchorwa, in Teso, in Bugisu, or in Palisa or in Busoga, where you say, I went to campaign for so and so. So if I never campaigned for a chairman LC1, chairman LC2, chairman LC3, chairman, and not even an MP, so how do I get into contradictions?
You have heard of these camps, Camp A fighting Camp B in the eastern region. What has been your role in ensuring that there is reconciliation?
We have, first of all, the institutional framework. The party must have disciplinary committees. right from the grassroots up to the apex, national disciplinary committee. In the last framework, it was being chaired by my brother, Alhaji Kigongo. And he had a battery of people to support him. And it percolates all the way to the grassroots. These plenary committees handle lack of discipline in the party. These ones who veer left or right of the center. Yes. The disciplinary committees brings what you call a content of guidance. Then we have also reconciliation committees. Reconciliation in internal contradictions, where that fails, we get a team and a battery of people to deal with those internal contradictions. Where there are cracks that have emerged, we normally build consensus. And in the last elections, if you saw some people coming in and opposed, we have had 16 in this election. It is because of consensus, where you say, I think this one, let's work that way. Most of the time, the national resistance movement encourages consensus. And in order to avoid conflicts within the party, we have the correct methods of work. How do correct methods of work do prevail? You must say what is important at the right place and at the right time, and address them internally. The moment you externalize, the Baganda was saying, ebyomunju tebitotura kubanga bingi nnyo, meaning that matters which are inside, don't externalize them carelessly. And even making statements. I think you know that I've been one of the most careful when it comes to statements. Even my whole interview here, I never go personal. It is not my part of politics. I have never gone to Museveni, not even one day, to accuse anybody, and he knows it, and I've told him before, to say Lugemwa is a bad man. That's not the way I work. Let me deal with Lugemwa at a personal level. That's how I work in politics. I believe that conflict resolution can be best handled by engagement. Where somebody has failed to agree, then you agree to disagree, and agree to disagree, but in a very formal way, and remain comrades, because NRM, we are comrades, we work together.
They still think that you are part of the group that at least has served and probably should go home and give others a chance. What is your view?
A forest is made of very tall, mature trees. You've got medium trees. You have got young plants. A country like Uganda, with 80% of the population below the age of 30, if you get our children to lead this country, then you're looking for trouble. I think you need cross-pollination of ideas, intergenerational confluence in governance of our country. It's not about biology, and I insist it's not about biology, it's about ideology. If you're talking about cadre identification, cadre training, and cadre placement, who does the mentorship and training? Do young people train themselves? This is the question I ask you. Even in the university, even in the army, somebody who has become a second lieutenant today, or a cadet, cannot rise tomorrow and become a general. It is a process. The army is one of the most disciplined structures of governance of a country.
Actually, if you have...
And that's why I tell you that those who are generals are not people who are 22 years. They're not people who are 25 years.
These are guys that
to be a general, you must be battle-hardened, you must be fully trained, you must be experienced, your leadership must be tested. All successful armies in the world relate to successful political leadership of a country. The two work together.
I had a chance to talk to the Archbishop Ntagali in an interview the day church got the Most Reverend Samuel Kazimba. So I asked him, why do you, the clergy in the Anglican Church, retire so early? Because I would look at the Archbishop Henry Orombi, Archbishop, they all looked very strong men, but living. He said, church gives you retirement, at least that you also get time to live your life free away from services. When you look at the complaints after the primary elections of Friday, there is a complaint in most corners that the elections have brought back you seniors. The primary elections brought back a big number of your colleagues, more, some of them more senior, of course, than you, but of course, you seniors. And you are here also having people that are pointing at you as another senior that should go home. What do you think about retirement and people demanding for others to retire in leadership, especially here in our land?
In my 60s now, I am not octogenarian.
It is unfair for whoever is asking.
It is a very unfair. When you look at people like Donald Trump, he's 80 years now. If you look at Putin, he's heading to 80 years now. If you look at people like the Chinese president, he's also heading towards 80. If you look at most of the leaders in globally, forget about Africa. You cannot therefore fault people like President Museveni, who is leading one country of 47 million people, heading to 50, a young nation, when Donald Trump, same age with him, is leading a country of nearly 350 million people with 54 nations, which form United States, 51 states. The point I'm trying to tell you, leadership is a process. And you need experienced leaders to govern this country. You need, one of the problems we faced in 1962 as a country is that none of the leaders of the time was above 40 years. They were all in their 30s. You had Ibingira and Abu Mayanja, who were in 24 years old. What happened then? Sir Edward Mutesa was about 34. Obote was about 36. But what did it cause Uganda?
Clash of ego.
Disaster. In less than 2 years, the country had gone into a state of uncertainty. By 1966, the gun culture was introduced in this country. I want to tell you that some of the political parties, and first of all, before I even go there, one of the mistakes we made, and even the introduction of military government under Idi Amin, was young people. Lack of experience. I think it is important for us to read history or learn history, not to pass exams. But we should not make, and I repeat for you, the young people, do not make the mistakes our country made in the early 60s by stampeding leadership. Because you say, I want. It's our time. At that time, the Lancaster Conference in 1958 is what led to the stampede and the chaos Uganda is suffering from now. It has taken us, and it may take us another 100 years, to cure the mistakes that were made in 1966.
But don't you think the young people should also see a semblance of your readiness, the seniors, of opening a door for them to come and sit with you, and that there is a chance of you allowing them to take over? Probably people get a time where they think you are here to stay.
Let's look at the cabinet of General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Yes.
Anite, Ogwang, and all those people you see. Those are young people. 60% of the parliament of Uganda currently today are young people below the age of 50. Over 70% are young people below the age of 50 years. This current parliament.
Yes.
In the last election and the previous election, the first election we had, or let's talk about the last election. There was an outturn of about 82% of the new leaders, right from the grassroots up to the apex. You will see that new leaders were able to metamorphose, were able to come forward, and now they are chairpersons of LC5, they are chairpersons of LC3. You've got young people who are members of parliament. You've got young people who are at various levels of governance of a country. That should tell you that Uganda is embracing young people. And you see, we are not just going through an appointment. These leaders are not appointed. Article 1 of the Constitution is a voice of the people. It says power belongs to the people, and they will exercise the democratic right by electing their leaders through regular elections which are free and fair. I think democracy and the rule of law and constitutionalism are spoken. And I want to assure you, without any fear of any contradiction, that our democratic path, however turbulent it is, however violent it is the will of the people being exercised. And that's the dictate of the Constitution.
I think the problem could be, would I call it failure to grow in service? Why would somebody be an MP for 20 years and he doesn't think about going beyond the parliament?
Have you heard of a country called United States?
Yes.
A free world. There are people who have served in parliament or a Senate or Congress for over 40 years, 50 years. And these are the people who come to give us lectures about democracy. Why don't you start from the people who have gone through democratic process for over 50 years, about 250 years?
There are young people who think this way, that if I was, for example, Mike Mukula's state, I would be throwing a shot at presidency.
Well, you see, for me, my interests are different. My interests
From
now,
parliament?
my interests are different. My interest to me as a person is to succeed in business. And I think that this tour may be my last tour. I would want really to spend more of my time managing business transition and managing what you call placement of leaders who will now manage the private sector. And don't forget, the fulcrum of our economic and political growth is us indigenizing this economy and providing African solutions to the African problems. And I want you to know that there is no country in the world which will raise its political flag and keep its economic flag low. The two flags must go up simultaneously. And that's why you find that when you look at South Korea, the 8th largest economy in the world,
Yes.
which had the same GDP with Uganda in 1962, is now the 8th largest economy in the world, with the highest PhD per capita anywhere in the world. Because South Korea indigenized its economy. When you talk about LG, Samsung, all these companies,
These are all indigenous.
these are all
companies.
indigenous South Korean companies,
Yes.
owned by South Koreans. Japan is the same. The billionaires and the millionaires in China are Chinese. I don't know if you get my point. I want you to know that India, when you talk about the Indian millionaires and billionaires, they're indigenous, and I repeat, indigenous Indians. It is therefore important that the African leadership and we who are in the private sector who are now here must learn to understand that if we want to path the correct direction where people learn to be patriots, patriotism is to be first one of these who contribute to the tax kitty. Our tax to GDP ratio is still low. We're about 14 moving to 16%. If we are to metamorphose into a fully developed country, I think the stakes in indigenizing the economy must be critical. I may be across the Nile, the only industrialist, or among the few industrialists who have medium to large scale industries. What does that tell you? And what am I speaking to? My narrative here is that I am now moving to the private sector.
What would be your last message to whoever is going to vote in the Central Executive Committee of the NRM, especially the region where you want to be in charge?
I think our biggest component here should be that Uganda has the biggest opportunity under General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni now to run this sick country called Uganda. We have a strong leader. We have a strong country. We have leaders who are experienced. And those of us who are in the Central Executive Committee are experienced in giving the country the right political direction. We may not be perfect, and I want to really discount the illusion that people think that you can run a perfect system. That can only be done in heaven. And when you look at solutions, we cannot provide solutions like it were in the Genesis chapter 1, let there be, and it were. It cannot work that way. I think in order for us to have a country like Uganda move forward, we must have a strong patriotic citizenry. A country where people understand that we are not alone in this continent called Uganda. We must create and build a strong foundation for intra-Africa trade. This is the future. And if you see that those who used to govern us, the imperialists, the colonialists, our masters, have formed have come together to form the European Commission, EC, or the European Union, the European Community. If the British, the French, the Portuguese, the Italians, who dominated not only African continent, but even South America, my view is that we now have a God-given opportunity. And I really would like to urge President Museveni that use this opportunity, these 5 years, to see that the reality of the East African political integration as an elder statesman in East Africa, East and Central Africa, is realized. Even if we started with one country, what you call a coalition of the willing, let that be the beginning of the East African political integration. If President Nyerere, may his soul rest in eternal peace, had been alive, I'm very sure that President Museveni would have stepped aside a long time ago. But now that God has given him the opportunity now to lead Uganda, and is respected in the region, is the center of gravity, President Museveni, sir, I really call upon you to work these 5 years to bring about the formation of the East African political integration. Number 2, I would like to see that the word that the president was able to manifest during his time of accepting the nomination within the party to fight corruption, I would want to see that the president does not leave this undone. He must walk the talk. Your Excellency, sir, if he's watching or listening, my appeal is that young people and the future looks on to you, because you have a very clean record in the leadership of Uganda. Let's realize the ideal of reducing corruption in our society, in the governance of our country. This, what you call primitive accumulation of wealth, must be checked and where possible stopped, and those who are brought to book must be held culpable in the country. I want to say that with all this together, I want to assure the people of Uganda and assure the whole country that I will support President Museveni in these next 5 years. I will support the party, the National Resistance Movement, and I want to assure you that the challenges I've been able to elucidate on are areas that we as human beings can be able to cure. Given the opportunity and the stability of our country, the future is bright. Now that we have discovered oil, now that we have discovered gold, and huge deposits of gold, now that we have discovered uranium, this is a rich country, naturally endowed. The future of Uganda is very bright. Let's keep it safe. Let's ensure that we support the right leaders in getting the right jobs to serve Uganda. and I'm prepared and committed.
You one time held presidential desires. What went wrong?
It is all the dead people who don't change their minds. I want to say that my view at that time were about maybe the dreams. But those were dreams. My view now, and I hold it clearly, and I'm very committed to President Museveni, is that I support President Museveni. And in NRM, you have what you call placement of leaders for a specific task. There is nobody, and I repeat with unequivocally too, who is better placed to serve Uganda now than General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.